Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today our group will present about automotive steering system for MEVT21. So our group have four participants, which is Haziq Ahmad bin Akil Ahmad, Idal Haziq bin Faizal, Muhammad Ahmad Zafar bin Ahmad Zaidi, and Abdullah Fahim bin Abdul Latif. So first for history of steering system, which is start with me, Muhammad Ahmad Zafar bin Ahmad Zaidi. So the first of all for history steering system, the first steering wheel was not used until around 10 years after the first automobile was patented, believe it or not. The earliest automobiles that were built were not driven with a steering wheel, but rather with something called a tiller. Although it may initially appear like a dry subject, the history of steering wheels is actually rather fascinating. So Alfred Vacheron employed a steering wheel on his customized 4 horsepower Panhard to compete in the Paris Rouen race, which is the oldest instance of one being used. However, steering wheels were not made a regular component of some cars until 1898. After their introduction, it became they were essential and would continue to travel in automobiles. All Rambler models, one of the few mass-produced automobiles at the period, had steering wheels by 1904, and the tiller had virtually disappeared by that point. So following that, steering wheels were exceedingly basic and consisted of just wooden rings that were attached to the wheel axis. They had no other purpose and might be very difficult to spin, especially when moving slowly or when stopped. Although power steering patents date back to the invention of the steering wheel, it took a while before the system were really put to use. The first power steering system to be installed in a vehicle was created in the 1920s by an engineer by the name of Francis W. Davis with the goal of making truck driving a little bit easier. He was inspired by prior work on power steering system used in ships. Davis secured a contract in 1926 that called for the use of his invention in upcoming Cadillac vehicles, but unfortunately, the contract was terminated in 1934 as a result of the Great Depression's economic crisis. So, for the World War II was what sparked the accelerated development of power steering. In order to provide easily maneuverable combat weapons, the military began equipping Chevrolet armored vehicles for the British Army with power steering system in 1940. So by the end of the war, about 10,000 vehicles had received a comparable upgrade, and automakers then started working on power steering system. Others of the machines were hydraulic, some electric, and some combined of the two. So next, I will continue with my other participant, which is Azik, for timelines and milestone of steering system technology.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Haziq Ahmad and I'll be presenting about the timelines and milestones of steering system technology. Power steering initially appears to have been created as a simple convenience. However, this is not the case. Vehicles were far more challenging to operate before power steering was developed, especially at slow speeds. It was essentially the driver versus all of the road frictions caused by the tires. It is said that the concept of power steering existed long before the automobile. A man by the name of G.W. Fitz reportedly created and patented an early concept for a power steering system in 1876, but most of the details about how the system operated or even who Fitz was appeared to have been lost in time. Robert E. Twyford, a Pennsylvanian, received a patent for a four-wheel drive system with power steering in 1900, but because it was totally mechanical, this approach never really took off. Francis Davis, an engineer for the Pierce Arrow Motor Car Company, developed the first hydraulic power steering system that was truly usable in 1926, which was the first significant advancement for power steering. Most often, heavier military vehicles that need the extra steering help were equipped with Davis's power steering systems. Between establishing power steering system for the military and Pierce Arrow, Davis collaborated with General Motors to develop a power steering system for its road vehicles. Power steering, however, never really took off, since at the time his systems were thought to be too expensive to construct for the mass market. All of that changed in the 1950s, though, when the Chrysler Corporation started making its own power steering system based on Davis's system's original design. Since Davis's patents on the system had long since expired, Chrysler was free to use as many of his concepts as they pleased. In the 1951 Chrysler Imperial, this brand new hydroguide power steering system made its debut. After that, General Motors completed their own power steering system, which made its debut in all of Cadillac's car launch in 1952, using the designs David had previously created for them. Power steering quickly gained popularity after that, and by the end of the decade, over 3.5 million cars in America had it. Only a very small percentage of brand new automobiles today came with unassisted steering, and the majority of these are compact, lightweight sports cars. That's all from me, thank you. I'll be passing this on to the next presenter.
Thank you, Aziz Ahmad. So my name is Abdullah Fahim Abdul Latif. We are going to go through to the current technology of steering system. There are currently many examples of steering systems available and have been applied to several brands new cars in the automotive industry. Two examples which commonly used nowadays are steering system with rack and pinion attached to steerings and wheel. Next, the power steering system with electrical DC gear. Each of these steering systems has a unique design, set requirements, and mechanism which is still being developed until today. Number one, rack and pinion system, rack and pinion type steering system. The most commonly used steering mechanism in modern vehicles is the rack and pinion type. A rack is at the center of the mechanism. This rack is constrained, so it can only move in a straight line. The pinion which comes from the steering can make this rack move. A part called the steering arm is attached to both wheels. This part is constrained, so it can only has a rotational motion along the axis. The steering is connected to the car frame via a roller bearing. This makes sure that it can only turn. A tie rod connects the steering arm to the rack. The tie rod can have both translational and rotational motion. When the rack moves at a different angle, the wheels turn alongside with it. Due to this, the vehicle can make a turn without slipping. This is the type of manual steering. And the next type of the steering system is power steering. Nowadays, electric motor assisted power steering is widely used on most cars. Electric power steerings make the steering action effortless and more accurate. A column assisted power steering unit is shown as in figure 3.1. The figure 3.1 show a, a brushless DC motor drives the steering column and the pinion. The motor is capable of rotating in both clockwise and anti-clockwise directions. An electronic control unit decides the amount of power the motor should transfer to the column. The ECU takes the following input, such as the torque the driver has applied to the steering wheel, the steering angle, the steering wheel speed, and the vehicle speed, and then decides the appropriate torque to be supplied. A Hall of fact-based sensor and torsion bar arrangement is used to measure the driver's torque input. Due to the motor power's existence, the steering wheel rotations become effortless for the driver. Next, I'm going to give my friends Aziz.
Assalamualaikum. Can you hear that? Assalamualaikum and good evening. My name is General Haziq bin Faizal. I'm the last person for this group. So for my part, I will explain about the advantage and disadvantage of latest steering system. Okay. Every technology has its advantages and disadvantages, as well as the technology mentioned above. For advantage, the latest steering system is improved fuel efficiency. Related power add is a common part of more modern steering system. This makes the engine work less, which may save fuel. Another benefit of the latest steering system is that it's more precise. This means that modern steering systems tend to be more accurate and respond more quickly, which can improve how a car handles and stays stable afterward. The latest system technology also gives you better safety features. Modern steering systems often have advanced safety features like lane maintenance assist, automatic emergency steering, and a collision avoidance system. This can help reduce the chance of accident and make driving safer overall. So for the disadvantages, technology steering will also have the disadvantages. For the first example, the latest technology for steering system is more expensive than what came before. The most recent steering system technology can be more expensive to buy and run than older systems. One problem with the latest steering system technology is that it relies too much on electronics. Some latest steering systems rely a lot on electrical parts, which can break or not work. At the same time, the complexity of the latest steering system technology can also be seen as a drawback. Modern system steering might be harder to fix or figure out what's wrong with them because they are more complicated. Overall, the latest system technology is better than what came before. It is number of ways, but it's important to think about any possible downside as well. So I give it that.
Okay, next, we go through about new and future technology for steering system. New technology in steering wheel technology is called steer-by-wire (SBW) technology, which is the objective is to make the car lighter and smarter. The technology is similar to the current technology, which the mechanism is connected to steering to the wheels. The difference is steer-by-wire technology allows removing the current mechanical connecting parts into, but instead it connects them by wires called direct CAN. Figure 5.1 shows the replacement of mechanical parts by wire. With the conventional mechanical system, when you rotate the steering wheels, it is barely easy to deliver the physical force to the wheels. But with wiring connection, that solves the problem. Wires can figure out how strong or how much you are putting your force when you control the steering wheels. Hence, there is a device called SFA, steering feedback actuator, which sends and calculates how much physical force you are giving and delivers that information digitally through wiring cable down to the wheels. There is another device down at the wheels to receive such information. The device called RSA, Road Steering Actuator. It receives the information sent by SFA and translates it to make the mechanical turn of the wheel. RSA device also send information up to the steering wheel. The information given is the condition of the road, so the driver can instantly feel how much force is to give when making a turn. The condition detected from RSA, such as slippery road with small friction force to to the tires, needs more, which is need more force to turn the wheel, and when bumpy road with higher friction force, which is need high force to make a turn. Next, I'm giving back to the Ayman Zafran.
Okay, so for conclusion, although it has been decades since the first power steering has been invented, we as drivers of the current technology in the automobile system may not feel its greatness as much as how the people felt back then. It is very common now for automobiles to have the power steering system, and sometimes it goes truly underappreciated. The development of the power steering has come for the past decade, and it has helped us to achieve comfort in driving automobiles. In the future, there will be more made advancements onto the power steering, possibly making it an effortless action to turn the steering of an automobile. For now, the power steering system available is already excellent as it had changed the automobile industry entirely. So I think that's from us. So thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.